Hi everyone. It's 2:45 now. Should we start or should we wait for the MC to come back?
Go for it.
Okay, everyone wants to start?
Yeah.
Right. Hi everyone. Thanks for coming here today. I'm Benjamin Chia, and this is my presentation. Blood, Sweat, and Soul, being a professional indie writer. Before I begin this presentation, let's start with a story. 1 year ago, I wrote my first story for publication, a novella. I thought it was my best work ever. So the first thing I did was to rush all over the internet. I published on Smashwords, on Amazon, on my blog, made it for sale everywhere in the world. Last week, I received my first royalty statement. Now, everyone, how much do you think I earned in the past year? Anyone want to hazard a guess? What? No one brave enough? Right. You won't believe this. $9.88. American. And here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. What just described me mediocre, and it is. It's also reality for a lot of indie writers out there, especially newcomers. It's a long road, and it's been a hard road. But I still intend to carry on. In this presentation, I'd like to share a few of the lessons I've learned along the way, along the past year, and maybe, yes maybe, if any of you try to follow my footsteps, you may not make the same mistakes I'll make. So a little about me. I've been a writer for the past 11 years, which means absolutely nothing. I know enough to know where my mistakes are. In the past year, I published 3 ebooks, a novella, a short story, and a novelette. I also have 6 more on the way, and I really hope to push them by the end of the year. What this all means is this. I'm a complete novice. I'm not a bestseller, I've only been around for 1 year. 1 year. Don't treat what it says gospel. It's just me sharing my thoughts, my experiences, and my research review. So do try to keep this in mind as continuous presentation. Some of you might have seen the title, Blood, Sweat, and Soul. Why is this so? You see, I believe that a writer is an artist. And art is about self-expression. Art comes from you, it comes from the soul. But art is very difficult. Art requires craft, it requires hard work before it can do it right, before it can express itself properly. Therefore, sweat. But for professionals, sweat is not enough. You gotta think of career, you gotta think of growth. That means nourishment, that means growth, that means blood. In this presentation, I'll be using the words indie and self-published author interchangeably. For the purpose of this presentation, both terms mean the same thing. A writer who publishes a story without involving any kind of publishing house, be it a big press or a small one. And by professional, I mean it's a career. These are writers who write to make money, to pay the bills, because it's a job. For these writers, they have a slightly different mindset from most people, and I'm trying to explain this in my presentation. I'm going to disappoint a few people right now. In this presentation, I am not going to talk about writing. I'm sure many of you here are writers, you know, writing techniques. I'm going to talk about writing. What I'm going to talk about is business. Business tips, business strategy, and the right mindset to be a professional writer. When talking business, when being a professional, you have to understand this. You are not a writer anymore. You're an entrepreneur. You gotta understand the market. You gotta understand how things work, how money changes hands. So for the next few slides, I'll be talking about the indie book market. Here are my personal observations of the indie book market. My personal ones. It may not be yours, it may not be accurate, but it's what I've seen so far. My first point is that the long tail in the market lasts forever. Indie writers hold all the rights to the books. What this means is, among other things, they get to decide how long the stories sell. So the smart writer will make sure the stories sell forever. Publish today, make money 10 years from now. That's how it goes. My second point. In indie writing, there's a very short logistics trade. What I mean is that there are very few steps between the writer and the consumer. There's a writer, retailer, distributor maybe, and consumer. That's it. There are very few incentives involved. And because of this, customers expect low prices. So, prices of indie books tend to be lower than those of mainstream books. In the indie book market, there are 4 big companies dominate distribution and retail. These are Amazon, Apple, Barnes & Noble, and Smashwords. I'll be referring to these companies during the presentation. But essentially what you need to know now is this. If you want to make it big, you have to work with these companies. Your stories have to be there. And finally, the indie book market is a rapidly expanding market. There are very low barriers of entry. All you need is a manuscript and a cover. You can jump on board just like that. At the same time, there's a lot of press attention. So there'll be a lot of customers looking for self-published works. There's a lot of money to be made, and there's a lot of potential for growth. The trick is getting there. Of course, what I said so far applies to the international market. When talking about Singapore, what we have is not a hometown advantage. What we have is a hometown disadvantage. For one thing, in Singapore, the local market for ebooks is very limited. And why is this? Because many international ebook stores are not available in Singapore. Think about those big companies I mentioned earlier. 3 of them, Amazon, Apple, BNN. They're only making ebooks available in places where the e-readers are available, and vice versa. If the e-reader isn't sold in Singapore, it won't be sold here. You won't see a Kindle store, you won't see a Nook store. There's no iBook store for some reason. I hope it opens soon. So all we have left is Smashwords. And there are local ebook retailers. The problem is that they're very limited reach. There's Scoop and ilovebooks.com. The problem with these companies is that they're focused mainly on the Singaporean market. There's little incentive for them to reach an overseas market dominated by Amazon. The problem is, the way the websites are designed, they won't let new authors be discovered so easily. There's no reader ratings like Amazon. There's no discoverability options like BNN. There are no book recommendations like Smashwords. So it's very hard for newbie writers to catch a big break in local ebook stores. And why ebooks are so important? Because ebooks are cheap. Ebooks are cheap for indie writers to create. Ebooks are cheap for customers to buy. Ebooks are a driving force for self-publishers because of this reason. The second problem is that transactions are mainly US dollars. This may seem such a big deal at first because the US currency exchange rates are in Singapore's favor. The problem is that in US dollars because a lot of companies are American. And in America, the IRS requires everyone to withhold 30% of any kind of earnings from anyone who lives outside America, and that's a tax treaty. Therefore, the actual royalties an indie writer can make in Singapore is not a 65 to 100% people promise. It's 45.5 to 49%. No matter which way you look at it, a Singaporean indie book writer will make a lot less money than an American counterpart. As it is not enough, there are currency conversion costs. It costs money to change currencies from US dollars to Singapore dollars. If you're dealing foreign currencies like Lira, the pound, Canadian dollars like I do, that adds up over time. But wait, there's more. Transaction costs. Amazon likes to pay you in check. Smashwords pays via PayPal. The problem is that PayPal will charge transaction costs for you to receive your money and convert it into Singapore dollars if you live in Singapore. As for checks, some banks won't accept checks in American dollars. Some may receive them, but you got to pay a transaction cost. So, with the way I looked at it, in Singapore, the indie writer isn't going to make a lot of money. But it's not all gloom and doom. There has been a lot of successes out there. So today, I'm going to talk a little about the portrait of a successful author. By successful, I mean 1,000 sales per month, or about $2,000 US a month. We're not talking bestsellers, by the way. We're talking about people who can make enough to pay the bills and live a comfortable life. Yeah, a pretty funny concept in Singapore, isn't it? I really hope to change that someday. When I look at all the successful authors, I found 3 things in common. Firstly, they have at least 10 years of writing experience.